This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Thursday, the 18th day of June in the year 2020. I'm Gordon Mosley. Here's what we're tracking tonight. Well, moments before he was expected to present his final report on the results of the 2nd of March elections to the chairman of the Elections Commission, Chief Elections Officer Keith Lowenfield was forced to halt that move as he was served with a notice of motion for court action against any declaration at this time. GCOM's Public Relations Officer Yolanda Ward told reporters that a notice was served on the Chief Elections Officer before his 1 p.m. deadline to submit his report. She added that a notice restrains the CEO from complying with the directions of the chairperson, resulting in the report not being submitted today as was planned. The court action was filed before the Court of Appeal in the name of Sophia resident Eslyn David, who is being represented by attorney Mayo Robertson. In the action, David is seeking a declaration that the Guyana Elections Commission has failed to act in accordance with the terms of the Order Number 60 of 2020 and the amended order dated the 29th of May 2020, in that it has failed to determine a final credible count and or the credibility of the result of the general and regional elections held on the 2nd of March. The applicant is also seeking an order that there be an interpretation of the words "more votes cast" in Article 177 of the Constitution. Additionally, the court is being asked to grant an order restraining the Chief Elections Officer from complying with the direction of the Chairman of the Elections Commission to submit to the Elections Commission an elections report determining the final credible count and or credibility of the general and regional elections as is required by Order Number 60 of 2020 and the amended order. An order restraining the Chief Elections Officer from complying with the direction of the Chairman to submit an elections report on the Section 96 of the Representation of the People Act without the Elections Commission determining the final credible count and or the credibility of the results of the elections is also being sought. According to the notice of motion, the Court of Appeal is also being asked to grant an order restraining the Chief Elections Officer from submitting to the Elections Commission the elections report under Article 177(2)(b) of the Constitution containing votes which are not credible within the meaning of the Order Number 60 of 2020. And finally, an order is also being sought restraining the Chief Elections Officer from submitting to the Elections Commission an elections report on the Section 96 of the Representation of the People Act, Chapter 103, containing votes which are not valid and credible. The matter is set to come up before the Court of Appeal tomorrow afternoon at 1:30. The Guyana Elections Commission was scheduled to meet again tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but has since put that meeting on hold. The incumbent APNU-AFC has been arguing that any declaration of the Elections Commission must only contain valid votes and not votes that were tainted by the irregularities that were uncovered during the vote recount. More news coming up in a moment.
We all want to stay in touch, right? Now, even more than ever before. So to keep your connection strong, GTT is going 2 for 2. Combine GTT mobile and home internet services and we'll give you 2 gigs of free mobile data each month. With 2 GTT services, you're fully connected at home and on the go. Visit us online at gtt.co.gy/2for2 to learn more and start doing more with 2 for 2 from GTT. Stay safe, stay strong, Guyana. We're in this together.
GBTI is your Guyanese bank, a bank that understands every customer's unique needs, opportunities, challenges, and financial concerns. At GBTI, we see you for you. Whether you're buying a new home or car, planning your next vacation or retirement, saving for your child's future, or whether you're ready to take that bold step of investing in your dream business idea, we are with you every step of the way. We hear your stories and watch you focus on your dreams as we share your aspirations. We are more than just banking. We are a family. We are part of your community. Our commitment extends way beyond the walls of our branches and is demonstrated every day in the opportunities we provide to our individual and business customers. The support, time, and commitment we give back to communities across Guyana to help improve the lives of our Guyanese families. Because we see Guyana through your eyes.
We can reduce the risk of contracting viruses by strengthening our immune system, and one way of doing this is by eating as healthily as possible to support optimal immune function. Micronutrients essential to fight infection include vitamins A, B, C, D, and E, and the minerals iron, selenium, and zinc. Here's what we need to know about the foods we can eat to get them. Vitamin A is found in fish, egg yolks, cheese, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and beans. Vitamin B9 folate is abundant in green leafy vegetables, beans, nuts, and seeds, and it's also added to a lot of the flour that we use in Guyana. Vitamin B12 is found in animal products including eggs, meat, and dairy, and also in some fortified milk. Vitamin C and vitamin E helps to protect our body when we're fighting an infection. Good sources of vitamin C include oranges, lemons, limes, tomatoes, and cherries. In Guyana, one of our cherry has the amount of vitamin C needed for the entire day for a person. Vitamin E is found in nuts, green leafy vegetables, and vegetable oils. Although sun exposure allows the body to produce vitamin D, food sources including eggs, fish, and some milk and margarine brands may be fortified with vitamin D, meaning some extra has been added. Most people need just a few minutes outdoors most days to get enough of the vitamin D needed. And beyond diet, there are other measures you can take to stay as healthy as possible. No smoking, reduce the intake of alcohol or none at all, exercise every day, and sleep and rest well. And please remember to reduce your intake of sweetened and carbonated beverages and drink lots and lots of water.
Welcome back. A planned meeting of the Guyana Elections Commission today could not proceed as the meeting lacked a quorum. Two government-nominated commissioners, Charles Corbin and Desmond Trotman, were absent from the meeting, forcing its postponement. Under the rules of procedure for the Elections Commission, a quorum exists with the presence of the GCOM chairman and no less than 4 members of the commission, with 2 from each side. The meeting was expected to examine the report of the Chief Elections Officer on the election results, but that report was never submitted, as he was served with a notice of motion for court action in the Court of Appeal. That notice of motion, according to the Public Relations Officer at GCOM, restrained the CEO from presenting his report. The matter comes up tomorrow in the court. Government-nominated Commissioner Vincent Alexander said while he did not see the court documents, the Chief Elections Officer would have still been unable to present his report to the Commission in the absence of a quorum for the meeting to take place.
I have only seen reports in the press. I have no actual knowledge, first-hand knowledge of that matter. I've seen reports in the press. The chairman did indicate that there was some document delivered. To what effect, I'm not sure as I speak with you. There was no circumstance in which he could present a report to us if we weren't quoted.
Tomorrow's GCOM meeting was scheduled to take place at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, but the Commission has since indicated that because of the hearing at 1:30, it will no longer go ahead with its meeting. Opposition-nominated Commissioner Says Kunraj told reporters that while no injunction was granted, there was no handing over of any report to the Commission. He also said he believes the Commission could look at other options in the absence of the Chief Elections Officer not presenting his report.
I have been presented with a copy of those documents that were served, and my perusal of them does not reveal that any injunction was served. I believe that the Commission has plenitude of powers, which I myself am actively contemplating, which I prefer not to discuss now.
In the absence of a report from the CEO?
Yes, like I said, I prefer not to discuss that, but I believe that there are options that are available to us.
Earlier this week, the chairperson of the Guyana Elections Commission requested the Chief Elections Officer to compile and present his report on the elections using the tabulated numbers from the recount. The APNU-AFC has been saying only valid votes ought to be presented in any tabulation report, pointing to the anomalies that were uncovered during the recount. The chairperson of the Elections Commission said the issues ought to be dealt with in a court action and not by the Commission. The matter is now before the Court of Appeal, as a private citizen is seeking several orders regarding the declaration of the elections and the issue of valid and credible votes. Well, PPP General Secretary Barrett Jagdeo today described the move to the Court of Appeal by a private citizen to seek a number of orders in relation to the declaration of the elections as nothing more than a disguised election petition that will not work. Mr. Jagdeo said it is his view that the APNU-AFC wants to remain in power by a technicality.
You can't win elections on a technicality. And so they're exploring this option of a petition disguised to seem as though it's an elections petition, but disguised in a manner which could claim jurisdiction, where the Court of Appeal could claim, or they could claim it has jurisdiction before the Court of Appeal.
Jagdeo also said based on the numbers from the recount, it is his party, the PPP Civic, that won the elections, and those with complaints of fraud and discrepancies should take those matters up in an election petition after the declaration.
I'm not going to quote all the areas from the GCOM's press release about the chair's statement, but she made it clear anyone who feels aggrieved has the route, like the CARICOM report said, or to explore all of these allegations through an elections petition. And having made those two rulings, APNU's camp was in turmoil. So Joseph Harmon immediately came out and he said Lowenfield will present the final report, although the chair made it clear. The chair then wrote Lowenfield, because he had adjusted the report, the final numbers, the verified, certified, valid numbers, and put in his, reduced the number of electors by 285,000 people. Guyanese lost their votes because Lowenfield took up news allegations. We all lost our votes. And the chair said, no, you can't do that. You don't have the right. We don't have the right. No, GCOM doesn't have the right, neither do you have the right to do that. You can't, only the court can do that. And she then directed Lowenfield through a letter to prepare the report, the final report, and calculate the number of seats using the recount data. And that is what was supposed to be presented today, and here finally be declared the president.
As we reported earlier, the Court of Appeal is scheduled to hear the case tomorrow afternoon. Guyana has recorded 12 new cases of the coronavirus in the past 24 hours, and all of those cases are from Region 1, taking the total number of cases in that region to 24. Chief Medical Officer Dr. Shamdev Prasad revealed today that 42 tests were conducted over the past 24 hours, with 12 of those tests returning the positive result.
As of the 18th of June 2020, of the 42 tests conducted, there have been 12 new cases, bringing the total number of confirmed cases to 183. All the new positive cases for today are from region number 1, which showed a 100% increase in their numbers of positive cases.
Just yesterday, the National COVID-19 Task Force announced the phased reopening of the country over the next 2.5 months. Dr. Prasad said with the reopening, citizens still need to be extra careful and continue practicing safety and health guidelines.
Fellow Guyanese, the Ministry of Public Health continues to implore you to take stock of your action. Our numbers indicate very clearly that our behavior is still out of order. We are in COVID times, so it requires COVID behavior adjustments. Hand washing, wearing of a mask, and practicing physical distancing. It may be tough, but we have been doing this since March 2020. Practice makes perfect. Let's get this right. Do your part, so continue to help us do our job of saving lives.
The chief medical officer also reminded that Guyana's cases have never stopped climbing and persons are still vulnerable to contracting the virus. 52% of the positive cases in Guyana are men, with most of those cases representing men between the ages of 20 and 29. Region 4 has the highest number of cases, standing at 56% of all cases. It is followed by Region 7 with 16% and now Region 1 with 13% of the cases. Over 180 Guyanese cruise ship workers who have been stranded for weeks at sea will be heading home to Guyana tomorrow from Barbados. News source understands that the cruise line workers will be coming in on an Eastern Airlines flight that will also be bringing in other Guyanese nationals from Miami. The cruise ship workers were among the first group of nationals who sought permission to come home following the closure of the airports because of the coronavirus pandemic. However, they were not granted immediate approval as details had to be worked out with the cruise companies to facilitate the coronavirus tests and then travel by air. The cruise workers who are currently aboard one of the cruise ships in Barbados were informed today by their company that their flight home to Guyana has been approved for a Friday afternoon aboard Eastern Airlines. There is another flight with Guyanese nationals also expected tomorrow from Barbados. Caribbean Airlines will operate that flight with almost 100 additional Guyanese who have been stranded in Barbados since March. Meanwhile, two groups of Guyanese cruise workers who are currently in Curacao are awaiting the approval to return home. They are hoping to be allowed to return home by this weekend. They all have completed their coronavirus tests as requested by the health authorities in Guyana. The Guyana Police Force this afternoon issued a wanted bulletin for this man, Delon Wilson. The police force said he's wanted for questioning in relation to larceny by public officer between the years 2013 and 2020. His last known address was given as Kurukuru, the Linden-Suslike Highway. The police force did not release the details of his alleged crime, but is asking that anyone who may know his whereabouts to contact the nearest police station or call 226-1389, 226-7065 or 911. Across the region is coming up next.
They've made a positive impact on the heavy-duty transportation industry in Guyana since they've arrived. Guyanese are amazed at their power, durability, efficiency, and superior handling capabilities. These are brand new trucks, manufactured in partnership with German, Italian, and French companies. They have a powerful reputation for operating under very adverse Guyanese conditions and come with full after-sales service and spare parts. They're the most sought-after trucks today, with over 500 units in Guyana, and they're available in over 100 countries, including South America and the Caribbean. Be smart. Buy brand new ST Howo trucks today. Call 608-4998 and arrange for an inspection at ST Truck Guyana Incorporated, Block B, Public Road, Covenant, East Bank, Demerara.
We are legions of men standing strong, but never too proud to stoop and help someone. We must send a clear signal to all. Do right. Walk in upright ways, knowing that's what being a man is all about, and ever aware that things will only get worse when good men do nothing. Stand strong. Be the one to live right.
Anyone who believes he or she was exposed to coronavirus COVID-19 must stay at home and not mix with other family members. This quarantine is to help stop the spread of the virus at home and in our communities. While at home for 14 days or 2 weeks, here are some valuable tips you must follow. First, get a separate room which family members will not be allowed to enter during those 14 days of quarantine. Ensure this room allows you to get lots of fresh air. Second, if you must meet family members, stay at least 1 meter or 3 feet away from them. Third, when it comes to personal hygiene, other members of the household should use a separate bathroom. If you must share a bathroom, ensure you always clean the taps, doorknobs, and all utensils with soap and running water. Fourth, limit the number of visitors to your home. Anyone in quarantine must not meet and greet any visitor. Fifth, practice frequent hand washing with soap and running water. Wash your hands for at least 20 seconds every time. If there are no soap and running water, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 75% alcohol. Sixth, always avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. Seventh, after using face masks or gloves, always throw them away. Put them in bins with covers. Remember also to always use separate plates, drinking glasses, cups, and other eating utensils, towels, bedding, and other items for the family member who is in quarantine. And don't forget to use detergents every time to wash all utensils, bed linen, and clothes used by the person in quarantine. Please remember to use the thermometer, not the back of your hands, to monitor the body temperature of the quarantined family member. Monitor them 2 times every day. Be sure to write down the temperature. If he or she develops a fever or temperature above 37.5 degrees Celsius or 99.5 degrees Fahrenheit, cough or has difficulty breathing, sore throat, body aches and pain, immediately call the COVID-19 hotline by dialing 180 or 181. Protect yourself and others. Play your part in helping to reduce the risk of contracting or spreading COVID-19. This is a message from the Ministry of Public Health in collaboration with PAHO WHO. For more information, kindly visit the Ministry's website www.health.gov.gy or its Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter pages.
Across the region right now, Grenada's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell will chair a special meeting of the Caribbean Community Council for Trade and Economic Development on Information and Communication Technologies this Friday. Mitchell has lead responsibility for science and technology as well as ICT in the CARICOM cabinet, and a statement from CARICOM said that the meeting will be convened via video conference and will focus on crafting an effective policy response for CARICOM digital transformation post the coronavirus pandemic. CARICOM said over the past weeks, meetings of critical sectors, education, agriculture, security, trade, and transport have taken place in CARICOM, and that a quoted ICT meeting will also review how to support those sectors. In neighboring Brazil, a former aide to the Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro's eldest son has been arrested as part of an investigation into alleged corruption. The former aide is suspected of being part of a scheme to embezzle the salaries of phantom employees in the Rio de Janeiro Assembly when the president's son was a state lawmaker. He had been on the run but was arrested at the property of a personal lawyer to the Bolsonaro family near Sao Paulo. He denies any wrongdoing. The case could be embarrassing for the far-right president, who came to office in January last year after running on anti-corruption and promising to be tough on crime. And finally tonight, international news. The U.S. Supreme Court has ruled against President Donald Trump's bid to end a program that protects hundreds of thousands of young immigrants from deportation. The justices upheld lower court rulings which found his move to rescind the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program was unlawful. It protects dreamers, undocumented youths brought to the U.S. as children. The Trump administration has sought to end the Obama-era policy since 2017. The Supreme Court took up the case after lower courts ruled that the Trump administration did not adequately explain why it was ending the program, criticizing the White House's capricious explanations. Earlier today, the justices voted 5-4 to uphold the lower court's findings that the administration's order violated the Administrative Procedure Act, which says that government action cannot be arbitrary, capricious, an abuse of discretion, or otherwise not in accordance with the law. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting.